Today, we're honored to welcome Katherine Lazaruk, a professional presence expert who helps leaders and teams walk the talk the talk, and look the part. With over 15 years of experience, blending her background in opera music, corporate training, and executive coaching, Katherine brings a unique whole person approach to leadership presence. She's certified by the Association of Image Consultants International and the International Coach Federation, and our whole person, whole presence philosophy has helped countless professionals go from overlooked to undeniable, whether landing promotions, commanding rooms, or finally feeling at home in their own skin. A sought after keynote speaker and walking permission mission slip for authenticity. Catherine also sings in a jazz big band, publishes poetry, and proves that true presence isn't about playing a role, it's about owning your story. Let's dive into today's episode. The question I want to ask is, what's the biggest similarity between singing opera and commanding a room as a leader?
That's a great question. I would say that the biggest similarity is being able to direct your energy such that it reaches every corner of the room and it feels inclusive and inviting.
Inclusive and inviting.
Yes.
Okay. Could you explain to me in concrete terms what that means exactly?
Well, I think you probably know, and your listeners probably know as well, that when somebody walks into a room that has strong charisma or strong energy, the room feeling changes. So there are things that you can do as a leader or as a performer to connect better with your audience or with the people that you are working with. And so there are concrete techniques for this. So, for example, you'll often hear performance coaches or people like me talking about techniques such as maintaining eye contact with people, and of course, this is culturally dependent, right? So there are some cultures where that's considered very rude. So if you live in a culture like that, don't follow this tip, right? I'm speaking from what my experience is, which is primarily Western, like North American cultural norms. So I just want to preface my discussion with that. Right. So if you are working as a leader, it's about directing your attention to specific things in the room. So, for example, I never try to speak to the room at large. I always speak to one person at a time. So you can direct part of your attention to one person, look them in the eye, speak to them directly, and then the next sentence or the next paragraph, the next piece of information goes to another person in the room. And the energy of that connection will be felt throughout the room. So even if you feel like you're only speaking to one person, the other people in the room will feel that. So that's one way to make the energy in a room feel inclusive. The other piece that's fun to experiment with is actually you can magnify your energy. So scientifically, the heart actually has an electromagnetic field that extends, and the energy from that electromagnetic field can be felt up to 3 feet in a circle around your body. And yeah, it's fascinating. Like, it's so great to learn about the science behind the energies of the body. And so when you are well grounded and your nervous system is well regulated, you can actually radiate that energy outwards into a room just by feeling it yourself. So between eye contact, directing your attention, grounding yourself, so making sure you feel your feet on the floor, you're breathing, you feel your whole body at the same time, and then you think about your energy and extending your energy out to the room, then that will also increase the connection with the people that you see. And I think really the most important thing is you got to want to be there. You have to want to be in that room, and you have to want to be communicating with the people you're communicating with. And depending on the function that you're serving, whether it's to entertain or if it's to inform or if it's to encourage discussion, then you would change your tone, your pitch, your pace, your volume to suit the content and to suit the situation. And that's a very personal choice and needs to be a very conscious choice. Does that help? Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I like
Mhm.
the fact that when you were answering the question, the first thing you said was, I don't know how this might apply to the people from other cultures, but I'm speaking specifically from the West.
Yes.
And yeah, earlier on, you then later on talked about looking and talking to the people in the room, which means that it's very important for us to know like who we're speaking to, who we're talking to.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think as our world becomes more connected, I have a feeling that some of those norms may merge a little bit, but definitely it really depends on where you're going. And I think for me personally, I have had the experience of being considered rude, like by mistake, because I did
Wow.
something that I didn't know was impolite until I took some time to learn about it. So if you are podcasting to a global audience, if you're speaking to a global audience, it's just, do a little Google searching around customs in different
Yeah.
places. And actually, the most hilarious thing is the first time I ever learned about eye contact was when I was teaching, because when I finished university, I was singing, but I was also teaching in the public school system because I needed to make some money to support my career as well as it was getting going. And I had children in my classroom who had come from China. And here it's very common to like get down on the child's level and look them straight in the eye. And if they don't look at you, it's like the assumption is they're not listening or they don't respect you or they're not paying attention. And yet I didn't know that until I talked to a child's parent and then realized, oh my gosh, like as I'm looking at this child and asking them to look directly at me, I'm basically asking them to do something that they consider extremely rude and disobedient, especially to an adult and to a person of authority, like a teacher.
Yeah.
Very hard on their poor little nervous systems, like for kids, right? But I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really important to pay attention to the rooms that you're in.
Yeah. Like, I think it goes back to the question of knowing who you're talking to, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And in podcasting too, of course, like it's not just your content that attracts people, it's who you are as a person, as a content
Yeah.
creator. So my encouragement to everyone that I work with is be you as much as possible, because who you are will attract the right people and repel the people that are not the right people for you.
Yeah. Yeah. In a short while, we'll look at what it means to be you.
Sorry, say that again.
So in a short while, we'll look at what it means to be you.
So I'm sorry, you're asking me how do you look at what it means to be you, or is it just something you need to think about?
Yeah. That's, I'm like, in a short while, I'll ask you what it means to be
Well, you're
you.
going to ask me that. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
But no. I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you. I mean, like, be you in quotes.
Yes, of course. No, I misunderstood. I'm sorry. I misunderstood what you had said because you said in a short while and I couldn't hear you properly. So I'm sorry that it cut out a little bit and I couldn't hear it, which is
Okay.
why I misunderstood. Sorry about that.
Okay.
But yes,
No problem.
yeah, I'm happy to discuss. I'm happy to
Okay.
discuss what it means to be you.
Okay.
It's a lifelong journey.
Yeah. You call yourself. There's one thing I noticed that you did when I was going through your profile is you call yourself an image consultant who hates shopping.
I do.
Emphasis on that. Who hates shopping? What's the most misunderstood part of professional presence?
I think the most misunderstood part of professional presence is the idea that you have to follow all the rules. That there is a certain set of rules that you must follow, that everybody follows them to get the results. And I think that may have been true 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when the world was different. But now what I'm finding is those standards don't apply the way they used to. And those techniques don't work the way they used to because frankly, people can spot fake a long way away. And anyone who's trying to fit into a box of a set of rules that don't suit them is never, ever going to be successful in a world that now seems to prize authenticity over anything else. The world likes people who are real.
Okay. I know we're about to go into the deep and the metaphysical and the philosophical parts of this episode. But before we go into that river, why do you hate shopping? Because like you're an image consultant.
I know.
And like what happened?
What happened? Who hurt you? Why do you hate it?
I'm sorry. I hope I'm not sounding like a therapist.
It's okay. No, it's totally fine. The reason that I hate it is the reason that many of my clients hate it.
Okay.
Many people, including me, hate shopping because it is hard to find the things that you want. You are at the whims of the people who are making clothing. The middle of the market has fallen out. So you can either get fast fashion, which isn't necessarily very good quality, or you can get very expensive clothing that also sometimes isn't very good quality. And it takes a long time and it's tiring a lot of the time to shop. Now, I like to shop if I know that where I'm going has what I need and if I am very clear about what it is that we're doing for shopping. So if it's functional shopping, I can do it. My preference is to teach people how to shop so that they don't have to spend as much time in stores, so that they know when to go looking. So for example, I have a client who is looking for evening wear, But this is a terrible time to shop for evening wear. The best time to shop for evening wear is in the late fall and Christmas season, because that's when all the sparkly things come out, right? It's harder to find evening wear unless you're at a specialty store at this time. So it's because of the cyclical nature of things. It's because of the sort of brick and mortar is declining, which is a shame. And it can be challenging for people to move into an online space when they're thinking about shopping. So it's just not my activity of choice. Like, if you ask me to go noodling around a street with all kinds of lovely shops and you could just kind of go in and out for fun with a cup of coffee, that's a different animal. But when you're shopping to find clothing to suit a specific purpose, sometimes it can be incredibly challenging. And I think that's what makes it. So, it's funny that you asked me this, because I woke up this morning and was literally thinking about, why do I hate shopping?
Yeah.
and it's because of the mechanics of it. It can be really frustrating.
I can read your mind.
Yeah, apparently. You were thinking about this podcast this morning and you're like, why? So when I woke up, I was like,
okay, the universe aligns and the
it
stars were in
always
the perfect
does.
position.
It always does.
Okay, for me, I'm just going to put this out there, and yeah. So let me just say, I recently had this conversation with a guest from Megan from one of my podcast episodes, and I told her that one of the reasons why beginner podcasters, they buy a lot of gear and a lot of things is because they want to compensate for their inexperience by getting a lot of expensive stuff and all those things. And so now I'm going to tie this back to what you just said. I feel that, of course, looking good is good business, but I feel that a lot of times people feel that you have to buy stuff, buy this, buy that, because they want to compensate for their inadequacies in commanding the room, in being there as leaders and all that.
It's interesting because I have had experiences of that in my career for sure. I'm thinking specifically of one fellow that I worked with really early on, and he was a young real estate agent, and he really wanted to be selling very high-end properties. And so he was going to go out and get the lease on the fancy car and buy the really fancy expensive suits and the shoes and the whole, all the displays of status pieces. But he was really young. He was in his 20s. And I was like, dude, no one's going to believe you.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have any experience. I know where you want to go. And that is admirable and awesome. 10 out of 10, absolutely go there. Why don't we start with something that is more age appropriate and more appropriate to your beginner level? And then it will be congruent. It will align with who you are. You'll feel more comfortable. Your clients will feel more comfortable. And then within like 4 years, 4 years, he was selling high-end properties and buying all the fancy suits and the fancy car. But by then he didn't need to. He just liked it.
Yeah.
And that's the difference, right? I think I often say to people that image only matters where it matters.
Wait. You just dropped a banger quote and you just want to move on as if you didn't say anything. Could you please say that again? Like image always.
I will.
Wait. Please take it slow so that we can grab this rema.
Image only matters where it matters, but where it matters, it really matters. Okay. Because I heard what you said earlier about people compensating. Yeah, I know people try to buy fancy things all the time to make themselves feel better, but we're in a consumerist culture where we're told through advertising to compete. We're told that these things will bring us value, but that's not where true value lies, right? So if you are in a space, for example, there are certain industries, like let's say you're in a company and you're managing investor relations, then those displays of status might be important, particularly if you're dealing with a culture that has high external, like the status piece is important. Saving face or creating face is important. Then your clothing choices are going to be very important. That's going to matter. That's going to make people respect you. They're going to want to negotiate with you if you're wearing the right kind of Ferragamo belt or the right kind of designer, you're carrying the right kind of designer bag or the right shoes. Okay. So there are certain situations where it matters. There's also quite a lot of data to support wearing different kinds of clothing in different situations. So for example, there was a study several years ago where researchers wanted to measure the effect of clothing on negotiations. And what happened in negotiations based on it was men. They were studying men in negotiation. Whether or not the man wore a suit, if he wore whatever he came to the interview in, or if they put him in sweatpants, what would happen? So in those three categories, what they found is the men who wore suits in the negotiations gave up less and gained more. And they also produced more testosterone.
Wow.
So what I find fascinating about that is I say to my male clients, I'm like, look, if you want to produce or reproduce, you might want to get a suit. Like, pick one. But it's very fascinating. So where it matters, it really makes a difference. Like, I know for my own business, I'm a big proponent of true self. What's inside counts more. Your outsides should be a reflection of your inside, but your outsides should never matter more than your insides. So I'm a huge proponent of that, right? And yet, in my own business, when I wanted to do more corporate work, I shifted my image and my business doubled. And that was the only thing that I did differently, was wear a sharper suit, wear a little more jewelry, a little more makeup, get a sharper haircut, and make sure everything fits really well. And business went through the roof. It's because people have expectations, right? So when I talk to people about this, I talk about three important things. I talk about your character. Your character is who you are. So who you are at 4 is who you are at 104. Whatever container you're here on the planet in is the perfect container to do whatever you're meant to do on this planet. So the sooner you make friends with your container, the easier your life is going to roll. And so if you need to know yourself really well, and you need to know what you want. And then you need to look at congruence, which is making sure that your insides match your outsides so that people know who you are before you speak to them, and that you also have a resonance with your environment. So, for example, if you are a Reiki master and you show up to your energy healing session wearing a 3-piece suit and high heels, people are going to think something is weird, because that's not what they associate with someone who generally does that profession. Or if you are a lawyer and you show up in a tracksuit, people are going to question your ability because they have an idea of what a lawyer should look like. And that can be a really good indication. Like, if you are a lawyer and you hate wearing suits, you might be in the wrong profession, or you might be serving the wrong clients, working in the wrong firm, right? And so you need to think about, you don't live in a vacuum. You have to think about your environment. What's your job? What's your industry? What's your country? What's the geography? What are the cultural norms? All of those pieces are really important to think about. And then the last pillar of this, the third C, is choice. Because you can control a huge amount of things of how people will perceive you based on how you show up in your appearance, behavior, and communication. But you get to choose, how much do you want to conform? How much do you want to challenge? How much do you want to wear? And what kind of suit do you want to wear? What kind of flowing robe do you want to wear? You get to choose how much you want to conform with all the principles of style and the principles of the environment. And I think that's the most important thing, is people get to choose. So image matters where it matters. But if you're on the beach, on a vacation with your family, your kids, you're in the sun, wear the bikini, wear the Speedo, have fun. It does not matter in that moment what you are wearing. It doesn't matter. Go enjoy your life. If you're on the couch with your partner and you're watching a movie, it doesn't matter. Unless it matters to you. Like, if you just really, like, I really love to wear coordinated, like, lounging clothes when I'm at home, because that makes me feel good. I really enjoy it. But I also have yummy sushi pajamas, right? But it's like, if it matters to you, it's important. But in those situations where you're relaxing, you're with your friends, it's recreational, it doesn't matter. It totally doesn't matter. So just pay attention and decide.
Oh, thank you so much for that.
Welcome.
There is this advice out there where they tell most creators, they're like, you just need to be yourselves on camera. And most of the time, that advice backfire. Why is that?
Well, okay, I'm a big fan of being the most you that you could be. However, that doesn't mean that you let it all hang out and lose all sense of decorum and privacy or anything else, right? You still need to think about your audience and where you're showing up. Like, if you're showing up as a fun, entertaining creator, then you need to wear things that are fun, say things that are fun, do things that are fun. But if you're a really serious person and you think that your podcast will do better because fun sells, but you're not fun like that, don't do that. Don't make content that's for comedy. If you're a serious person and you're quiet and you're really intellectual and you love to read a lot of books and you like information, do a podcast that mirrors who you are, right? Or if you're a super spiritual person, like, do incorporate that into your work. Make sure that whatever you're doing has a flavor of who you are. But if you are just going in and being completely uncensored, that might resonate with some people, but it might not with others. But the biggest, most beautiful part of all that is your results will tell you exactly whether or not that's going to work for you, right? Like, if you go on and you're completely uncensored, you're just like, I'm me, it's great. I tried that too. I did. When I first started my image consulting career, I went and got my training, and I was fully like, I didn't have a lot of money. I was fully trying to follow the rules. I was encouraging people like, just be your true self, let it all hang out. And my business wasn't doing all that well because I even got heckled one time on the stage. I was speaking and this woman said, I mentioned that I had services to offer. And she was like, why would I want to buy anything from you? Look at what you're wearing, right?
Yeah.
And in the moment, I said to her, first of all, there was a hot wash of shame because, here I am being an expert and trying to offer my expertise, and this person doesn't believe me because of the way I
Yeah.
look. Super embarrassing. But I said to her, here's the deal. I said, I don't want you to look like me. I like to look like me. I want you to look like you. And I'm really good at that. So it was a teachable moment. And also she was
Wow.
heckling me and there was like people I knew in the audience. So it didn't go well for her. But it was a great moment for me where I'm like, okay, I also need to be more aware of this.
Yeah.
So what it is your true self is not ungrounded. Your true self is still centered. So when I see it backfiring on people with the BU, quote unquote, BU part, where I see it backfiring is when people are ungrounded. They're like a little out of control. They're like not centered in themselves. They're just like a hurricane. They're out of control. And that doesn't bode well for them. And it doesn't bode well for the people they're around because it's not safe, right?
Yeah.
People want people to be themselves, but in a way that is not out of control.
Yeah. I mean,
like
just thinking through it now, I just noticed that oftentimes we are multiple versions of different persons to different persons. Like the way we talk to our peers is different from the way we talk to adults and people that are like way older than us. The way we talk to professional settings and all that. And so it would be wrong to say that somebody is acting or pretending. No, we're just being a different version that moment demands.
Yeah. The way I describe it to my clients is I say, think of yourself as like a stereo. You're still the same piece of equipment. You can turn the volume up or you can turn the volume down, but you're still the same piece of equipment.
Yeah.
If you're showing up as a stereo in one place and a microwave in another, you're lying to yourself somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, maybe the person is a shapeshifter.
Right. Yeah. And what I found in my work so much is that people who shapeshift like that, who are very different in different situations, they lose themselves. And then they aren't any good to anybody because they're exhausted, first of all, because wearing a mask all the time is exhausting, and trying to gauge and perform and be what you think the person wants, mind reading, all that stuff is so exhausting. And generally people that come to me with this kind of issue have lost their identity. They've lost themselves. So then they're not being themselves anyway. Right? It's not the same as what you're talking about. Like, I understand what you're saying, where, the way that I am with my best friend in the whole world in our pajamas overnight with face cream on is different. But actually for me, it's not a lot different because I tend to be I'm not a very private person and I'm out there a lot.
Okay.
It's not that different, but I definitely probably swear more, especially if my inner teenager is really up in the front, like she likes to swear. So, there's that. I think, the language choices, the volume that you use, the pace, pitch, tone, all of those things change depending on the situation. Like if I'm talking, like if I'm at a funeral, I'm not going to be talking like I'm talking to you right now.
Like
right?
Everybody's going to be looking at you and like, who is this?
Yeah, it'd be like,
Who
this is
this person?
inappropriate. That's right.
Yeah. Like,
it's not.
You're
it's
just going to
not
get the look.
right. You get the look.
Yeah. And you know that you are out of line.
Totally. And the interesting thing is, I think when I see people acting out of alignment with the situation, I think I immediately go to somewhere in their life, they have not gotten the attention that they need. They have not gotten the attachment or connection that they need. And so they feel like they need to be out of line or inappropriate in order to get it. So whenever I see that, I'm like, okay, that's a call for love and alignment.
Wow. So that's more like a subconscious programming that they are not even aware of.
That's right. They don't know. Because trauma makes you act out in weird ways.
Yeah.
Like if you if you have an attachment issue when you're growing up later on, it makes you act out in strange ways if you're not getting your needs met.
Yeah.
Right?
And you're not even aware. You don't even know. That's the way I am. You don't even know.
That's right. That's just the way I am. I'm just loud. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Like, why are you loud? What happened?
Yeah.
You haven't always like this.
Yeah, like someone didn't listen to you when you were younger, so you thought you just needed to be louder to get attention.
You need to be shout and all that. Yeah.
Right, right. So a lot of this work is very, very healing work. And I love that part.
Yeah,
Like it's very
yeah.
deeply transformative because there are many image consultants, many stylists in the world that work with clothing and they do great work. There's a place for that where people are just changing their clothing. But for me, the clothing is the last piece of the puzzle. It's the window dressing. For me, it's really about who are you and what are you doing here on the planet? And how can we make sure that whatever you're wearing and what you're saying and how you're being in the world is supporting your purpose? That's where it's at for me.
Well, one of the things you stand and kind of like a statement you always talk about is that, oh, you say authenticity is a skill,
Yeah,
right?
it is. Yeah.
Um,
Because it's very scary sometimes to be yourself.
not a personality trait. Can you break that down?
Mhm. In terms of it being a skill versus a personality trait, I think authenticity is achieved through stripping away layers as opposed to adding things on. And
Well,
what I mean by that,
before you proceed, can you for people like me that have no idea what authenticity is,
oh, what it
can you
is.
like
Oh, yeah, sure.
yeah
For sure.
to us?
Yeah, I know. Those big fancy words. Everybody loves to make big fancy words. Authenticity is about being true to who you are and expressing it clearly. So it's
Hey,
real. So it's authentic.
okay,
It's genuine. It actually
okay,
belongs to you. You're not putting on a mask. You're not pretending to be somebody else. You're not, right?
okay, okay,
You're being who you are. You're speaking with your true voice. You're saying what you want. You're standing up for what you believe in. You're unafraid and unapologetic. You're not apologizing for who you are in the world. Authentic. You're real. You're like a diamond. You're real. Or you're like, well, now they have lab grown diamonds. So, who's to say? But right, you're valuable. You're precious. You're real. And that's authenticity. And when I say that it's a skill, it's also what it takes is a lot of courage to be as authentic as you can because basically we knew who we were before we got here. And then as soon as you're born, you forget. And then you spend your whole life figuring it out in the mystery school, right? So
yeah,
so there are some skills you need to figure out who are you really. You have to be able to process your emotions. You need to be able to tune into your body because your body gives you a ton of information and takes in information. And so if you're only running around with just your head operating, you're missing like 85% of the information you could be getting in situations and giving. So you need to be tuned into that. You need to really be, especially early on, because in the beginning, when you're a child, you're developing your identity and people around you reflect your identity back to you. So, like a kid will run up to their mom and say, I'm an artist. And if the mom is aware, she'll be like, yes, what did you make today? What will you make tomorrow? Absolutely, do that thing and validate what the child is expressing about themselves. If the parent is not aware, they might say something like, well, that's not art. And then the child's like,
mm,
well, I guess I'm not an artist then, right?
well,
So if you have some unlearning to do from your childhood, that's an important skill. You got to dig in there. And there's lots of like internal family systems and different therapeutic modalities, different books you can read about discovering your true self, different personality tests you can take to help you discover who you really are. And then it's just like the practice every day. What do I want today? What am I doing today? Who am I with today? How do I need to be today to be as true to myself as I can and be in the spaces where I need to be and do the things I need to do? So
yeah,
it really becomes a practice until you
yeah,
get really good at it. And then like anything, right? The first time you start, like you're like, I really want to be my true self. And I'm not sure what that looks like. Well, of course, you might be a little awkward and ineffective. That's you're doing it for the first
yeah.
time.
I,
And
I
then,
like
you've got that unconscious, you've got that, well, at first, if you don't know that you're not being really real, you've got that unconscious incompetence. And then you've got the conscious incompetence where you're like, oh man, I know I'm not very good at this, but at least I know. And then you get the conscious
yeah,
competence where you're like, oh yeah, I know who I am. I know what I'm doing, but I have to think about it still. And then the unconscious competence is just mastery, where you are who you are. You're not as concerned about what other people think. You're showing up. You're mindful of not being a jerk because that would be nice. But it's this idea of you get to the point where I know who I am. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm meant to do. I know who I'm doing it with. I know who I do it for. I'm doing it. And I'm
yeah,
serving my purpose in this world. And when I die, I will have no regrets.
yeah. I like when you define authenticity. You said it's being true to yourself. So the first
Hmm.
stage and the first step of authenticity is being aware of who you truly are before you
Yes,
can even express it or even show it or even align or do whatever you want to do. You have to know who
exactly.
you are. And a lot
Yeah.
of persons, they say they are authentic, but at the end of the day, what they are trying to be is someone else. And I don't
Yeah.
know where they missed it in the first place, but they have an image of someone else in their mind. And I'm like, that's not who you are. Like,
No.
well, what am
I
I?
mean, imitation is a way to try things on, because if you're not sure of who you are, then sometimes you might want to try things on like you would try on different jackets. Is this me? Is this not me? And the only way you can figure it out is by sinking into your body and tuning in and saying, does this feel right? Or does it not feel right? So
Yeah.
I often do an exercise with my clients where I get them to sort a series of cards with statements on them, like I love to wear suits, or I like to wear sweatpants, or I always want to be comfortable, or I really like pretty things. And I get them to look at the statement and sort the cards into me, not me piles as fast as they can to kind of short circuit the overthinking part. It's like me, not me, me, not me. And when they're like, oh, what about this one? And I say, if there is doubt, there's no doubt. It's not for you, right?
Why wasn't I aware of this exercise? That would have been fun to play one on the podcast.
It's a physical exercise that I do with clients, but it could also be done verbally too, I guess. Actually, you've just given me
Wow.
a good idea. Maybe I have to find a virtual way of doing it. Thank you. I'll get on that.
Oh, so the idea I brought, I'm not going to benefit from it.
Oh, you want to do it?
Uh,
Oh, well, we can talk about that. Yes.
oh, that's what I'm saying. That
You want to do
I
it.
wasn't aware of it. I wasn't aware of it. I'd have loved. I don't know what the logistics would be, but I don't think that. No, I'd have loved for us to do that. Wow, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I have
Okay.
many, many exercises. Like after 15 years of doing this, I have many exercises that I teach to help people understand who they truly are. But
Okay.
okay, so here's one that you can do. I call it the pleasure-seeking missile.
Mm,
So
okay.
one of the ways to figure out who you are is to explore your likes and dislikes.
Okay.
And what you do that is you got to try a few things. And then you
Okay.
got to say, like, what would please me? Do I like this? Do I find this delicious and yummy? Do I find this? So, like, for example, if you go into a shop, try on a whole bunch of different things and pay attention to what your body says. Like, yes, no, yes, hell no, right?
Yeah.
Which one is it? And do some experimenting. It can be great fun. Or you can do it with food. I'm going to try some different foods. Do I like it? Do I not? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. You can do it with images. You can look at images on a computer and go, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And then if you collect images, let's say, for example, you're just searching, you're like, okay, I want to look for things that make me go, yum. You can collect those things and put them in a separate document or a folder, or right click and save them, or however you want to do that. And then you can go, okay, what do all these images have in common? Do they all have a lot of space in them? Okay, maybe I like things to be spacious. Do they all have a lot of high contrast color in them? Okay, maybe I like a little drama. Maybe they're supernatural, like they have some kind of magical element about them. Okay, so maybe I really like things to be magical. And then you can start going, okay, how do I want to bring that forward in my life? And where is this going to work for me?
Yeah.
Right? So that's one way to do it. It's just like the things that make you go yum, you want to pay attention to, because they'll
Yeah.
give you clues as to who you really are.
Oh, that sounds like an adventure.
It's super fun. It's super adventurous. Like discovering yourself is one of the great adventures of this lifetime.
Yeah. I mean, the quotes from Socrates, man, know thyself. I mean,
Yeah,
most of the troubles we have in life, like we can avoid them if we know ourselves. Like, honestly.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's interesting. I'm always learning as well. And I'm in a program now where I've had to make some interesting choices because I love personal development. Of course, I do it. I'm in it. I'm learning it all the time. And I almost always say yes to myself for just about everything, right? Is this a course I want to do? Yes. Is this some other things I could do? Yes. And I get a strong
Yeah.
yes in my body. And
Yes.
something happened to me recently where I was working on a project and the financing fell through. And I was thinking, okay, now how do I want to do this? Do I want to now sort of regroup and then do this myself or figure something out and just go ahead and finance it myself? Or do I want to just say, no, I'm going to stop and take this as a sign from the universe to regroup and do something differently? And for the first time, I was like, I'm going to say no to this great learning opportunity because I have enough right now and I have enough support and I want to work on this project in this way. And
Yeah.
so I had to learn just recently to be able to set loving limits with myself and others and be able to say, you know what, sweetie, I know you really want to go do that fun thing. And here's the choice that we're facing right now. And so I, as the loving, wise part of myself, I'm going to say to you, your nervous system is on overload. You have a lot of learning stocked away. And now we're going to work on applying this one thing. We're going to focus on this one piece of the project and you're going to do it really, really well. And that's it.
Yeah.
And the sense of relief in my body after that was stunning. And yet before, I've always been on like going for high energy, high adrenaline, high excitement. And for the first time ever, I'm like, no, I actually can say no to that and feel fine about it. I mean, I might get a little FOMO when I start getting event pictures from my friends, but right.
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
being able to like understand yourself so well that you know when to say no and you know when to say
yeah.
yes.
I think the thing most people tend to forget when they say yes or no is that for every yes you're saying no to something else. And for
Of
every no
course.
you're saying yes to something else.
Yes, exactly.
So
Right.
you cannot always be saying yes because then you'll be
Yeah.
saying no to a lot of things.
Yeah. And some people say yes to things without considering that stability is actually a nice thing to have. A lot of people are
Yeah.
addicted to excitement for whatever reason. Either they grew up in chaos and so their bodies are set, their set point in their body's nervous system is chaotic. So they'll always go to chaos because that feels familiar. And some people grew up with real stability and they'll always go to stability because that feels familiar. But
Yeah.
sometimes those two extremes are, if you're in any extreme version of those things, it's not going to be good for you, right?
Yeah.
Too much chaos will burn you out. Too much stability will keep you stagnant. You need to find some middle ground.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. One of the things you talk about is that confidence is the story you tell yourself.
Did I say that? Wow. I say so many things and I'm like, wow, that sounds great. Who said
Wow,
that?
wow. We need to start keeping tab on the things you say.
Yeah, right. Better like keep a notebook.
Okay.
Yeah, I just say what
Let
I'm
me
guided to say in any moment.
let
So,
me let me
could be anything.
let me complete the question. How can creators, right, reframe their self-talk, you understand, so that based on
Wow.
this, so that we can, I can tell myself the
Okay.
story that I need to be confident.
Okay.
Yeah.
So confidence comes from competence, like developing self-efficacy.
Okay.
So you can't possibly be confident about something you've never done before. Not possible.
Okay.
You
Okay.
can have the courage to try something new. You can be brave. You can be experimental or exploratory, but there's no way you can be confident because you've never done it.
I see it now. Confidence
Yeah.
comes. I think I've heard of a quote like that. I'm trying to remember. Like when you get confidence by doing stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, because
Oh,
you build your ability. So then what you're doing when you do something, you tell
you
yourself that you can do it.
yeah
Like by doing it. So let's take like you're getting your first podcast and you do your first show and maybe it is terrible, right? But you did it.
yeah
So then what you need to do is be careful of the spiral, be careful of the critical voices that say you can't do it. It's like, well, I just did it. And then the critical voice will shift and be like, well, nobody listened. And it's like, well, how do you know? I listened to myself. It was fine. And then if
yeah
one person showed up next time, great. If two people show up the next time, great. Those are the people who needed to hear you in that moment.
yeah. I
And
mean,
then as you grow, you're expanding. Your confidence will expand,
yeah
right? When I started doing my image consulting work, I was totally insecure. I had read all these books. I didn't even have any training, but I was persuasive. And so when I look back at my original clients, I'm like, oh my gosh, like what was I thinking? Of course, they looked better, but they didn't look as good
yeah
as they could have with all of the
yeah
expertise that I have now,
yeah. Like I
right?
mean, if you had looked back and you didn't cringe, then it would mean that there was a problem, that like
Right?
emergency problem.
Totally, totally. So
Yeah,
with
it
anything,
just shows that you can.
yeah, you just have to do it more. And so as a creator, the beautiful thing about being a content creator is you are creating yourself at the same time that you're creating your podcast. It's an exploratory journey. So as you test, and all you do is you let the data make the decisions, right? You test different kinds of content and you see what really resonates with your audience. And then you do more of that content if it resonates with your audience.
Yeah.
Right. And there's different language patterns you can employ. And there's so many things about this podcasting journey that are so beautiful, but it can be a real vehicle for your self-expression and your self-discovery.
Yeah, like it's a good thing you say that because I'm one of those persons that believe that the things we work on us.
Right. Or things work within
Yeah.
us without us. I love that one too. Right. It's
Okay,
like,
I'll add that to my collection.
yeah, it's totally great. And I think it's
Yeah.
really, really a lovely journey. So I think if creators are, if you feel called to do it, just do it. Just start. All you need is your phone and a headphones and an internet connection. Like you don't even really need all the fancy gear at first. Don't let people fool you into thinking you need all that. What you
Yeah.
need is enough miles under your belt, then get the mic. Then you're like, oh yeah, okay, now I need to upgrade. But you can always upgrade
Yeah.
later. But if your
Yeah.
message
Yeah.
is true and you're speaking from the heart and it's aligned with your purpose, the people that listen to you will know that that's true and they'll resonate with it. And that's how your following grows. If
Yeah.
your following is not growing, you're misaligned somewhere. So just get aligned.
Yeah. We earlier we talked about the data and all that. And one of the problems with being on camera and all that is that a lot of people, they cringe when it comes to watching themselves,
Oh
like watching
yeah.
a video of themselves or listening to
I know.
themselves. Like it's
Yeah.
for
Well, because we're
for me, that's the torture I have to like go through every time because
yeah,
I am the one who edits my podcast. So every time I
sure.
have to like listen to it word for word. So I make sure that I see all the mistakes and I remove it. So I can't escape it.
Well, I think you're being trying to be a little bit too perfect. Because of course, so if you're in the flow of the conversation, the people that are listening to the conversation are not going to pick up the tiny errors that you make. And they're going to but you're listening to it repeatedly, like multiple times. So you're going to be a little bit pickier. And I think when people don't like to listen to themselves, I feel like, well, you just haven't done it enough. And there's something where you haven't really made friends with who you are, that you're being too critical of yourself and not loving enough. So I would encourage you, if you're having trouble like with this cringe factor, oh my God, I'm looking at myself on camera, and you're looking for all the terrible things, and you're like hearing your video voice or you're hearing your voice on audio and like, oh my God, I'm listening to all these terrible things. I'm going to encourage you to flip the script completely and look for things to enjoy and love. Like, by all means, you need to edit your mistakes out or whatever, but look for things that you love. So, and keep in mind too, that you will never get to experience yourself the way other people experience you. Never, never, because you're in your body. And anytime you see yourself on video or hear yourself on audio, you're being translated through a digital mechanism when you're on camera. So you're
Wow.
seeing yourself through a digital, like what the digital camera is picking up. You're not really seeing you. You're not seeing your energy in the same way that other people see you. It's not possible. So that's another thing to keep in mind is like, oh, right. So this is an artificial medium that I'm seeing myself through. So I'm not going to necessarily see or feel my energy the way that other people experience. I'm not going to experience myself the way other people do. I'm also seeing myself on video and it's backward. The video sees you the way other people see you, but we don't see ourselves that way because we look in mirrors and the reflection is flipped. So it's going to look a little weird when you see yourself on video.
Yeah.
So you just need to get used to, like, it's a perceptual shift. You're like, oh, that's just what I look like, and that's fine. And you also need to get over the idea that things that you see magnify. So I'll give you an example. When I see pictures of myself, I'm like, wow, I look like I'm 300 pounds. Like, what is going on? Because I'm not obviously 300 pounds. Well, you can't see on because I'm not on the video right now. But I asked my
No,
friend.
I saw you
I said,
at the start.
yeah, you saw me at the start. That's right. So I
Yeah.
saw this picture, and there's nothing wrong with being 300 pounds. That's big and glorious and beautiful. So I just want to get that out there too. I asked my friend, I said, I've got this picture. I said, I don't think this is really what I look like, but this is what I'm seeing on this picture. What do you see? And she said, well, what I really see is this big sweater that you have on. And I'm like, oh yeah, I do love that big sweater. And she's like, so I don't think that's really you. I just see this giant sweater. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's a good point. And so in real life, people may be seeing the giant sweater, but I'm not stopping wearing the giant sweater because I got a picture at a bad angle. I love that sweater.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm in a place where it doesn't matter as much. So it's fine. But you have to just be careful of limiting yourself based on your own perception.
Yeah. I just got the light bulb moment. And sometimes what you see might not be there.
Right.
Your
Exactly. People
perception
don't
is not
notice.
always right. Yeah.
That's right. They don't notice. They don't notice
Yeah.
that. They don't notice you have like that. I don't know if you have like a one crooked tooth that drives you crazy. And
Yeah.
people see you and they love that about you because it's something that makes you unique and interesting. Or like you are obsessed about the bump on your nose, but nobody sees the bump on your nose. Look at Barbara
Yeah.
Streisand. Like, I mean, I don't know, I'm dating myself now, but Barbara Streisand has her natural nose, and it's a larger, bumpier nose. And people told her she would have to change it. She'd have to get a nose job. And she said no. And she's beautiful as she is. And she kept her natural beauty and is well known because of it, right? Whereas Jennifer Grey, for example, she was in Dirty Dancing and she decided to get a nose job and she lost a lot of the character in her face. So it's like what you obsess over is not something that other people will notice. And as I said earlier, whatever container you got here in the planet on, whatever your body is, whatever your face is, your hair, your eyes, whatever, that is the perfect container. It's perfectly suited to your purpose in life. And so it's really important to make friends, to love the container you're in. You're like the whole purpose of being alive is to have an embodied experience, to be in your body. This is sometimes where modern religions get it wrong. They try to divorce you from your body. Like, oh no, you shouldn't think about your body. The body is sinful, blah, 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 blah. Incorrect. Completely incorrect. The whole purpose of living is to be in the body, because how else is the spirit going to know itself? Because when we're in spirit form, we're all like, there's no physical experience. This is a learning experience. It is meant to be lived in the body. So make friends with your body. Take care of your body. Love your body. Appreciate it for all that it does for you. Enjoy its uniqueness. Explore its nooks and crannies. Keep it healthy. Keep it strong, because it's uniquely connected to your purpose. It's like a sacred vehicle. Get in it.
It's amazing what happens when you're having a conversation. Like, I've not even started asking any questions, and wow, 1 hour is gone, and I'm like, wow, when did we start?
I don't know, an hour ago.
If the people listening to this episode could only take one thing from this episode, what would you want them to take?
I would want them to take love away from this episode. Know that you are deeply loved by the world, and you need to just catch up. If you're feeling unloved yourself, know that the energy of love is in the world for you, and you can tap into it anytime you want, and you can change the way you feel about yourself, and you can change the things that are difficult for you. You're not powerless. You have choices. Go within to go without. Look inside yourself, connect to source, know that you are loved, know that love exists, and then just go out and be it. Go out and get it. Go out and do whatever it is you're meant to do on the planet, and get started. Like, just go. Don't be afraid. We need you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Katherine.
You're welcome. It's a real pleasure. I love talking. So thanks for letting me talk.
Like the honor. How do I say that? I feel privileged that you came on my show, honestly, and learned a lot.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I'm so glad you invited me. Your name is appropriate because you're running around collecting wisdom all the time.
Oh my God. Where can listeners connect or learn more about you?
The easiest place is just find me on Instagram. It's my name. So KATHERINE LAZARUK. And that's my handle. And I'm easy to find. There's not very many people with my name in the world. So find me on Instagram. And if you have a question for me, like if you're listening right now and you have a question, you want to know something, just DM me. My DMs are open. Just send me a message and ask me your question, and I will answer.
Do you pronounce your name?
Sure. It's Katherine Lazaruk.
Okay. I thought as much, because I'm going to be, when I'm editing, I'm going to prepare a very fancy introduction for you. So I would have to read that. You only get to hear it when the episode goes live. So just prepare yourself to be surprised.
All right. I will be surprised. I'm sure it'll be wonderful.
I've asked you about where listeners can connect. You don't have a website?
I do. It's Lazaruk Consulting, or LZRKconsulting.com.
Okay.
But if you Google my name, you'll find it.
Wow. So you are the only Katherine.
There is, I think, a physicist in Iowa who's working, or a geneticist or something. But there are not very many people that have my name. So if you, especially if you Google Katherine Lazaruk Image Consultant, it's easy. I'm easy to find.
Okay. I'll put the links and everything in the show notes.
Yeah, that'd be great
for those that are interested. Just a side question I want to ask you. We're done with the podcast. I just wanted to ask you a question. Usually, what's your most active social platform that you create content on?
I do Instagram and LinkedIn. Right now, I've decided to go dark on Instagram for 2 weeks while I'm working on some messaging pieces. So it's very exciting.
Okay.
But there's lots of content there, and I still check it, even though I'm not posting just at the moment. But yeah, Instagram and LinkedIn, I post pretty regularly, like 3 or 4 times a week.
Okay. So for LinkedIn, what kind of post do you post there? The reason why I'm asking this question, just so you know, is because I want to go an extra step further in helping my guests make actual usable content out of the episode. So it's not just the come of the show. I want to actually take some of their banger quotes and words and actually create content for them that they can just copy and paste on whatever platform they use. So
they can share it.
Yeah. So
the other thing you can do is actually just get my book.
Okay. What's the name of
That's the other thing you do. The book is called Executive Being: Humanizing Business One Leader at a Time. It's on my website too. And I have a blog that I haven't posted on for ages. But LinkedIn, I post, generally it's I post inquiries, I post educational content, I post personal connection content, all kinds of things. So I'm shifting up my posts now, but go and look. And if you are wanting to share something with your audience that you're not finding, just message me and tell me. You're like, hey, I would love it if you would post some of this or some of that. And then I'll just do it.
Okay. 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 Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. You're welcome. And actually, one thing you can do is if people are looking for, oh gosh, I wonder if it's on YouTube. If people are looking for camera things, I actually did a free series right at the beginning of the pandemic, 1,000 years ago, called the Flare series. I wonder if you can find it on YouTube. It's been out there for a while.
Are you
think I
sure
have it on LinkedIn.
I've not watched that video? There was a time like years ago when I binge watched every video I could find on camera confidence.
Yeah, what I called it was video conferencing with Flare, I think. Is it even on YouTube? Might not be on YouTube. I'll
Okay.
find it. I'll find it and I'll send you the link. And then if you can share it
Okay.
with your audience.
Okay. I'll do that. Thank you
Yeah, I'll
so
just make a
much
note to do that. You're welcome.
for
You're
coming on the
welcome.
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. I
I had
will I'll
I
give
had
that
a
as a
great
little
time chatting.
freebie course for your
That's it for today's episode of Wisdom Journey. I hope it gave you something to think about or helped you feel a little less alone on your own path as a creator. If you'd like to support what I am building, you can head over to buymeacoffee.com/wisdomhq and literally buy me a coffee. It keeps the show going and means a lot. Also, don't forget to join my newsletter. The link is in the show notes, where I share deeper reflection, tools I'm using, behind the scenes updates, and lessons I don't always get to cover on the podcast. It's free and it's where the real conversations continue. Thanks for being here. I'm Wisdom Okonkwo, and I will catch you in the next one. Until then, keep building, keep learning, and keep showing up.